How's life? Today I'd like to talk about the invisible perils of being a doctor. When you train at medical school, they'll tell you a lot about the body, they'll tell you about virus, hygiene, etc., and they'll train you really well how to protect yourself from infection, how to protect yourself from invasion or aggression, etc. But what they do not tell you too much about is how to protect yourself from an invisible peril, which is emotional distress caused by the illness. In your consulting room, there are going to be three of you at least. It's going to be you, it's going to be your patient, and it's going to be the disease or diseases that your patient has. Now, this disease, when this disease is one of those diseases that is nameless or that is really very, very menacing, you are going to find that you're going to have an emotional reaction, depending a lot on what the disease is like and how the disease has impacted your patient, because the mental state of your patient is going to affect you. If it is very horrifying to your patient, you will probably, very highly likely, have a fight-flight reaction. That's what any living creature does when they are confronted with something frightening. They either run away or deny it. That is, it's not there, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Let's get as far away from this as possible. And you'll find yourself saying things to your patient like, "Oh nonsense, you just have an indigestion," or "Oh nonsense, just you're too worried about silly things." And you start looking another way, and it's really weird. And then your patient feels abandoned. The other thing you can do is start attacking the patient, because when you attack this, you're actually attacking the disease, not the patient. But the result is that you attack the patient. So you have this feeling, and maybe you're an endocrinologist and you have this anorexic patient in front of you. And you're saying, well, you're just going to have to eat this, because this is what you need to survive, and you're going to have to eat this, and da-da-da-da-da. And you become very aggressive, and you start invading a person and attacking a person. When actually what you're doing is you're fighting the illness, but instead of fighting the illness, you are fighting the patient who comes with the illness. And that's not going to work for the patient. And it's going to leave you feeling awful and leaving them feeling attacked and horrified. So these are the emotional perils of being a doctor. You're actually going to take this home with you. You're going to actually wear this in your bloodstream all day long, and for days and days and months and months. In the best institution, there are tea groups where groups of doctors and nurses and other people who are in touch with extreme situations talk about the invisible perils. And these groups help you to do two things. One, to discriminate what is happening to you as a doctor in your consulting room, so that you do not react against the patient. You use that energy, that anger or whatever, to channel it towards curing the patient's illness and battling against the patient's illness, not the patient. Therefore, your patient doesn't feel abandoned or attacked. The other thing that these groups do is that they help you not take it home, so that you're not constantly struggling with this discomfort in your private life, where you feel constantly assaulted by uncomfortable feelings of inadequacy or irritation or frustration. And this is what I wanted to tell you today. I'm seeing lots of anorexic patients being treated with a certain amount of cruelty, and I know their doctors don't want to do that. And I also know that some patients who've had these very long-term diseases that haven't been very easy to classify, maybe they spent 6 years until they got a diagnosis, for instance with an autoimmune disease. These patients have been constantly attacked by numerous doctors saying, "Oh well, you're just making it up," or "You're just too sensitive," or whatever. And they even have a large amount of physical proof that the patient is sick, but they don't know what's happening to them, these doctors. They don't know that they are being subject to the invisible perils of being a doctor. So please, if you have access to a therapist, go see them or try to organize a tea group with your team, and your life will be much better, and the life of your patients too. All the best. See you next week.